Let's move on to the Miami Heat. Their key free agents include Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Kevin Love, and Cody Zeller, both of whom are non-Bird free agents. Key extension eligible candidates. I think Bam might be eligible for a 2-year extension sometime in November. He's not going to sign that. I just don't think that's like that's like not adding enough length, and so the number just won't be quite as high. He's young enough to where he'll want to play this contract out, either get more years or actually hit the free agent market. Their cap situation is they're over the second apron basically before even paying Strus or Vincent. So like, you can throw their cap holds in there. There are probably ways to be a little bit beneath the second apron before then, but you're just, if you resign either one of those guys, you're blowing past it. They have a Dwayne Dedmon trade exception that it's $4.7 million and expires on February 7th. Their biggest needs for me, and this is, I think, where we should start, because I'm curious where you land on what you think their single biggest need is. I go back and forth between, let's just upgrade the front court spot next to Bam. Caleb Martin's nice, and you can downsize and play small, but like you need someone who was even better than PJ Tucker was for you a year ago, or because we hear a lot about the Damian Lillard stuff. They were heavily linked to Bradley Beal. Is it they need another half court creator aside from Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, because Kyle Lowry's aging curve has sort of made him inconsistent in that regard, and because Jimmy Butler, like, his jump shot is just, it's inefficient until you get to the postseason. His off the dribble jump shot, basically.
Yeah, I think it's hard to watch the Heat in the postseason and really during the year and not conclude that just whoever is playing the four, they used Caleb Martin to great effect in certain matchups, and Kevin Love really mattered against other matchups, particularly against Denver, where Aaron Gordon couldn't just bully him, which looked like the whole series was just going to be Aaron Gordon duck-ins until the Heat started playing Kevin Love at the four. You'd like somebody that you don't have to sort of like pick and choose, like who's going to work against this matchup at that position. Obviously they missed PJ Tucker, so let him go this past season. But like, if you're really trying to level up, I feel like that's almost thinking too small. It does need to be, we got to have a third star, and like, or really, we got to have somebody making Kyle Lowry's money that is more than a guy that gives us like 15 good minutes in like 2 finals games, something like that. They do have 3 picks they can trade, which would have to include 3 firsts, I should say. This season's on draft night, I think, to make it work. They do not run afoul of the Stepien rule. That's how they'd have to do it. So, like, for example, it's going to be impossible not to invoke Bradley Beal at some point before we get to Washington. But just like the package that the Heat could have put together, I think is better than what the Suns could have offered. And had Beal wanted to go to Miami instead of Phoenix, you could have offered, Lowry or Hero and those 3 firsts, and just, I don't know that that's Beal's value necessarily, but it's just to illustrate that the Heat do have the ability to put a competitive offer out there, maybe the best offer for a big name, should one come available, or should one of the ones that are already available want to go there. I think that's how you have to look at this Heat team. It's not so much like, let's make a moderate upgrade at the 4, whether that means signing someone for the minimum or whatever. I think you gotta aim a little higher if you're really trying to change things.
If I set the bar and I have him listed as a trade target at Bojan Bogdanovic, higher or lower, the Heat have to aim higher than that.
Well, if you're gonna use, it's hard because clearly he would be better than both guys they played at the 4 during the playoffs. I think he's probably better than Caleb Martin.
As a shot creator and like shot maker.
Sure. I wonder if you run into some of the same defensive problems and being undersized you have there with Martin. So I guess if you're talking about trading like Hero and or picks, you may need to aim higher than Bogdanovic, even though
I'm not trading.
Makes your team better.
It would be Duncan Robinson and like pick.
Yeah, Robinson's another guy I neglected to mention as salary filler for a trade candidate. Yeah. It's sort of like, well, then it comes down to how ambitious do you want to be? And we just know and all accept that the Heat's ambition is basically limitless. So I feel like that sort of suggests the path that they're going to go is, if it's not Lillard, I think they're going to try to just get, a $40-50 million guy and squeeze him in there somehow.
I'd be with you, which is why, and look, it's also because that's the move they're built to make. They're not really built to make a small trade. You could trade Caleb Martin, but like, how are you going to get an upgrade using only Caleb Martin from Caleb Martin, who was really good for you. And that complicates their situation. Then you look at their salary filler, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, even Tyler Hero. Those are all really expensive guys.
Yeah.
Now. And so free agents, before we get to trade targets, which I think are the meat and potatoes of this team's offseason, guys like Yuta Watanabe, I thought they were a TJ Warren team last year, to like try to rehabilitate a guy who's been injury prone. Juan Toscano Anderson, maybe Joe Ingles could be a minimum guy. Jamichael Green, Javonte Green, I think is one of the most underrated free agents. I don't know if, the latter of that. I mean, all of those guys that I named, quite frankly, might be stretches. Maybe not Juan Toscano Anderson, but all those names might be ambitious when you're only working with the minimum. Maybe not for Joe Ingles, as he reached like the $3+ million like minimum, so he could look at it that way. But I don't know. And Jamichael Green just played for the minimum, so maybe he's not too much of a stretch. But any other names stand out to you for them?
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with minimum, so I think you're hoping for like a second or third draft guy or a veteran that has like a little bit left. So, I'd bring Justice Winslow back potentially. Even he might make more than the minimum. Cam Reddish, he's restricted. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. I'm trying to think who else might make some sense there. But yeah, I don't know. I was going to say Kevin Knox, maybe like something like that.
Ooh, he's like a fourth draft guy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like now we're getting way down the line. I think Watanabe is a great one, but yeah, I think you're banking on Heat culture, and then really it may not be free agency. It's just like, well, we found some other guy in the G League that everybody gave up on, and we're going to turn him into a 25-minute a game player. But yeah, I think the trades, as you said, are really where you start. We can cross Bradley Beal off the list there, even though I think that would have been a better package than the Phoenix one. Zach LaVine, Dame Lillard, Collins. I love the Collins fit here. I was thinking the other day about, obviously, because if you've got a guy that has underperformed seemingly, or, it's been injury, I think, or whatever, just get him to Miami and like he'll just immediately be 40% better. So I love Collins there. Do you think if you're the Hawks and you're offered Duncan Robinson as like the main asset for John Collins, are you hanging up immediately? What else do you need? Does that salary not come off the books quick enough for you? Because the shooting he would offer, I think, makes it just a little easier, because the Hawks did not make threes last year. I think it makes it easier to play Capella and or Okongwu. I think, and Murray for that matter. So I just spitballing, like Duncan Robinson as a quote unquote headliner in a John Collins deal. What do we think?
I think I would need you're either going to trade Oladipo or Caleb Martin in that deal to make the money work. Okay. And that's where it gets weird. So Oladipo actually increases Atlanta's payroll. Caleb Martin makes it like a dollar for dollar swap. And maybe if you were giving me Caleb Martin, I'd consider it. But are you giving up Caleb Martin for John Collins? Especially, look, let's be honest. Who had the better close to their year, Duncan Robinson or John Collins?
Oh, Duncan Robinson for sure. I would just be banking as the Heat entirely on John Collins turns back into a 20-10, 40%.
And in theory, you acquire him without giving up a pick. And in Atlanta, you could look at it as if it's Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin really helps you. And then Duncan Robinson's cheaper, so maybe it's easier to move. And I think there might be teams that are willing to acquire him now after the moments he had in the postseason. I like, if I'm the Heat, would you trade Caleb Martin for John Collins, though?
No, I don't think I would. I'm trying to see if I could get there with Duncan Robinson and Jovic, but I think you fall short salary-wise, because that only gets you a little over $20 million.
Collins, so you can get a third team involved. Like, is there a way to compensate someone minimally to take on Oladipo, who has like the expiring contract? Or you can step out of your way there with a bunch of different contracts. But even, I didn't mention him, but Omer Yurtseven is a restricted free agent. So you're not moving him. You can move Haywood Highsmith once you guarantee his salary, but that's such a small number.
Yeah.
They're like not built. It's only the mega trade for Miami, right. Basically what they're built for. Or at least they're not built to satisfy or check the boxes of a team like the Hawks that is going to be looking to save money, basically, as part of any deal they make.
And this is how the Heat want it. They're like, their hands are tied, except they can only make a blockbuster trade for a superstar. That's pretty much it. Kind of a nice position.
Would you do? And I don't think would you put every pick on the table? So 3 plus 3 swaps, or how Tyler Hero plus what would you give up for Mikal Bridges if you're the Heat?
I think
Two
Hero
and
kind of,
two, two picks and swaps.
that feels like a
Two and
lot.
one.
That feels
Would
like
you
a
do
lot.
Tyler Hero and two firsts?
Doesn't that feel like too much? I'm not the
No,
biggest Hero guy. That doesn't feel like too much to you for
I'm
Bridges?
not high on Bridges,
Yeah.
but so you would like Tyler Hero and two firsts is like, do you give that up for Dame? Then like you'd have to give up other stuff too.
Well,
Duncan Robinson.
would I rather have Bridges or Dame might be the question. I don't know.
That's my point though, is because
Yeah.
Bridges' contract is better. He also Damian Lillard fills a need, don't get me wrong, and does it better than Mikal Bridges on the offensive end. But like Bridges also gives you like defensively value, and then you can use him pretty much like you could use him at the 4, use him at the 3, use him at the 2. So there's more positional malleability there.
All right, I've come around. I would do Hero and two firsts because the Heat are going to be good and those firsts aren't going to be anything. You know, that you can give up picks in the 20s and feel okay
I
about it.
think the Nets are more likely to say no, but is it because of the name recognition or maybe the existing variability? And okay, is there a chance that Mikal Bridges' numbers and performance were just inflated a little bit last year? That might make the Heat a little cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you think maybe we need to walk it back on Bridges just a little bit? Because
No.
like,
You bite your tongue. You bite your tongue.
Okay, that's fine.
If they wanted to go, let's just, I would say in the Collins vein, I mentioned Bojan Bogdanovic. How would you feel about Keldon Johnson for this team? Look at that. The alarm going off now.
It doesn't matter how I feel. The alarm went off. We can't talk about him. I would love Keldon Johnson for this team. I like Keldon Johnson a lot, especially if you knock him down the pecking order from where he's been in San Antonio to like a 4th option. I think that'd be great. I have no problem with that. I think I might rather have Keldon than Bogdanovic just because of the age.
Yeah, and he's going to give you more defensively still. He's tiny, but he'll probably rebound better than Bogdanovic at this point. Yeah. And his contract, it's a steal. If he can get back to hitting set threes, and he did from the corners last year, I think, not so much above the break. His contract's on a declining scale. I don't know what you need to give up to get him, though. It's probably picks. I bet you San Antonio has no desire to look at Hero, would be my guess.
No, he does not seem like a Spurs player.